Hello and welcome back to the Walk for Life series. We're talking about all things walking related. And last week, I had you guys observe the body from within, really give them some names to the sensations that we feel within, describing pains, being specific about them. In fact, I had you guys run a few drills. The first one was just standing still, closing your eyes, taking your shoes and socks off, and just feeling your feet beneath you. And the main questions were, what do you notice? What are some of the top things that come to mind? I know this could be difficult, boring even, but there's really, really good gold within the observation of within. And then I doubled down and I said, okay, I also want you guys to take a picture of all four angles of yourself and observe them. It's for your eyes only, but look at your body, look at yourself. What do you notice? And then lastly, I had you guys go for a walk. Put all that into practice and think about what you observed and now what you observed while moving through space. Now, if you were able to observe some of these things, whether it be the first, second, or third drill, I'd love it if you comment below and tell me what you noticed. I know for most people, you haven't gone through something like that, but all of my clients seem to get really great feedback from either seeing themselves in a different light or adjusting their walk. And so please comment below. Let me know what you think. So let's begin. I want you to look at this graphic right here because I show this to my clients in our initial assessments. And I have found that this is something that really resonates with people because we can mix and match between one of these things that applies to us. I'll go first and I'll tell you exactly this is where I'm at. And now it's your turn. So, which applies to you? Where do you find yourself? Are you a hips forward person? Do you find that you have one shoulder that's consistently hiked up? This is really important for us to understand. I know for myself, I realize that I like to sit on my right hip. The right side likes to cave and it raises my right hip. And I'm really tight and twisted in my left hand side, as you can see right here. And I think what's ended up happening is that it's really difficult for us to control our own bodies. We get so obsessed with either getting bigger, stronger, more lean and cut that we aren't really too concerned with little imbalances and maybe the more boring parts of fitness, which is becoming a bit more symmetrically aligned. Now, there is no perfect posture. In fact, I would argue that you don't want that at all. The body in and of itself is asymmetrical. Okay, so now what do we do? When we're walking, it's really important that we say, okay, I don't want to walk so fast that I'm messing up things and I can't observe, but I don't want to walk so slow that I'm really just thinking about things too much and making the whole process more confusing. So it's really finding a happy medium and going at a pace where you can still observe, but still not get too much in your head, if that makes sense. Listen to your footsteps. Which sounds heavier when you are taking a step? This is crazy to notice, but everybody's got this, and some people a lot worse than others. And once you notice this, you can't unhear it. So, forewarning, don't drive yourself crazy. If you're aware of it, you're in the game. Be happy. Number two, when you walk, do you find yourself consistently veering off to one side specifically? And is it something where you're trying to stop yourself from going to one side? This is really interesting to kind of pinpoint in our own gait cycle. Number three, where do you find yourself getting fatigued? Where when you're walking or doing exercise or cardio and running for lengthy periods of time, where do you find yourself giving way or increasing the amount of pain or uncomfortability in yourself, in your body? If it's your knees, something's not going right. The knees should not be taking and withstanding a ton of pressure. So that's a little bit of a tidbit I'll give you, but just know that's not okay and that's not right. That's something that you really have to get on top of right away before you have to get a knee or a hip or any one of these replacements done that are so common now. And we all just say, hey, it just happens when you get to this age. It doesn't have to be that way. And if you get pain, where do you find the pain presents itself first? Do you get blisters someplace particularly? Is it some part when you're walking and your foot your heel or your toes or the big toe. Pain really is just a way of saying, hey, we need to turn this ship around. Something's not right. It's knocking on your door saying, hey, relax. Let's figure this out. This isn't something to just brush underneath the rug, which we all too often do because, again, the bodies are amazing. Okay, so last little bit of detective work that I'd like for you to kind of observe in yourself here. Start looking at yourself when you're carrying bags or purses. Do you consistently use the same shoulder every single time? Is the bag really heavy? All of these factors can weigh into whether or not it's creating more of a dysfunctional pattern in us. Suggestion is to swap the other shoulder if that's something that you do. All right. So what about when you sit? Maybe on the computer, do you tend to veer on one side? If you look at the cushioning, can you tell that your butt's been in one spot more than the other? Little imprints or wear and tear in the fabric are all really good clues to have. Also, looking at your keyboard and the way you line yourself up. Are you to the left or to the right of your computer screen, constantly having your neck tilted, looking down at your computer this way or looking far up? Again, the more amount of time that we find ourselves in these positions, the worse off it can be. So the next time you get behind your computer desk or sitting, see how unaligned you are. And I hope you can catch yourself in the act because it's really cool to find. And one of the last sort of techie sort of things that I've started to stumble upon is what about the way you hold your phone? I always love to pick it up with my left hand and kind of girdle it and put the weight in my left hand. But as I talked about earlier, one of the problems that I have is that I'm so stiff and tight. And what I realize is when I use my right hand to be that dominant hand when I hold, it feels much weaker. But I found that this is really helpful so that I'm not always using the same hand each time. And then lastly, this is really eye opening, but I'm going to show you something here. I have an old pair of gym shoes, basketball shoes. So these took a lot of wear and tear over the years. I wore these for about 2 years. And there's some detective work that you can do with your shoes. All you got to do is this: look at them from the outside. Do you notice that there's any fraying or anything where the fabric typically will meet? These are a little bit more sturdy, so you can't tell. But on a lot of my shoes, a lot of my older shoes, you could really tell. And then what you can also do, I had to butcher this one here. You can look at the inside of your shoes. Now, most of the shoes have a sole that you can pull out. But if you have an old rinky dinky pair of shoes that you rarely use, but you used a lot of, this would really help. But this right here is a huge key factor. It's like finding the murder prints on the weapon because for me, I had a lot of foot issues. And I didn't realize till it was too late that I was using all of my weight on that big toe and driving with most of my steps. That is incredibly heavy to wear and tear. I mean, you could see the fabric that I frayed through using that. And again, these are really good things. And you can see on the inverse side where all of this had worn down. And so it's another thing of mechanics that we'll get into later, but you can use your shoes as detective work. If you are interested in really right now attacking some of your dysfunctions or asymmetries or maybe getting rid of some of your pain, then I would suggest you check out these resources. Either go to functional patterns, foundational training, or the WEC method are all really good pioneers in the field of releasing programs. I'm not saying they're free, but these programs are worth the money that you spend. And those are really my top four in that order that I would suggest to people. And they all have their own little personalities and twists. So it's just important for you to find what you like to do. Okay, so we've made it all the way to the end. I'll leave a little shot here so you can screenshot it for all the tips and tricks, and I'll leave it in the comments in the video below. If you found any use or value out of this video, I'd love it if you would like or comment. Any of those two things would really help out this channel. I am all about spreading good, free, quality information. I really appreciate you tuning in, and stay tuned for next week.